What's up, the beautiful
Recording.
people of the world? Here we are. I, Quadroon, am back with another SUSOST interview. Let's stand up to stand out and stand together. And on the line, I have a very, very special guest, one of my lifelong brothers, peer, co-workers, and inspirations, none other than Ian Tapley Bell, also known as Tapley Sound. How are you doing, my man?
Yeah, doing good. What an intro. Thank you,
What an
man.
intro. Yeah, you
Yeah, it's been
handcrafted.
a journey.
It
Yeah, did you
truly
write that?
has. I had
Is
that
that off the
pre-rehearsed.
top? Okay, got it. That's a written. All right.
I have a couple cue cards here. That's why I'm not including video, just so that I can oscillate these
I gotta
behind the
say,
scenes.
shockingly concise for something you've written.
Correct. Correct. No, well said. Well said. Well, the off the tops can come in a variety of forms. My dude, it's funny to think about you, to think about our time, to think about interviewing you of all beings that are, being talked to for the integration, for the promotion, for the exhibition of their contribution in the record, and just trying to give an overall kind of insight into the variety of artists. It's stunning to think where to start because we've now known each other for what I want to say is 4 or 5 years, and our relationship has grown and changed through so many different you know relationships geographically, as well as how we were relating artistically, whether that be on the production or the engineer side, and locationally different places that we recorded, performed, et cetera. So, I mean, it's something that I've been really excited and looking forward to do because I realize when I reflect on my own artistry career, like you're one of the first beings that comes up as, once again, not only someone on the peripheral of collaboration and inspiration once again, but literally like within the inmost crew of empowering myself as an artist, making the vision come through, and providing for the journey that we're currently on. So where I kind of want
Yeah.
to begin is something even that I don't know if we've touched on specifically in ourselves, and kind of just to get the historical timeline. Like, I'm curious, my man, what, where, when do you consider, in reflection, the beginning of this musical journey for yourself? Was there a first moment or a start, or did it just arise from, as long as you can remember, creating, being a part of music and the communities that surround and create it, was associated to you? Or is there a specific point where you felt this journey kind of began for yourself?
Okay. So, damn, great question. And continue to just like shower me with
I
love
will.
and affection that I really appreciate that, man. It's been a real journey just creatively with the two of us that
Mhm.
has been like probably just one of the funnest and most rewarding like creative friendships I've had over the last like decade or my whole life, you know.
Word up, bro. Straight
So
up.
yeah, fucking props to that. Okay, speaking to my own like musical interest journey, um I really just started as somebody that listened to a lot of music and like really got into like finding new music and like developing like a personal taste and like having opinions about it and stuff. Um,
For sure, for sure.
and yeah, that like really just started as like an appreciator of it before I ever like saw myself as someone that could do it, you know?
Mm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I had like one piano lesson as a kid and then decided like it was too hard, so I stopped doing it. And then I learned drums at the age of like 13 or so. So that was
Okay.
kind of my first time like being involved in the music making
And was that like at
beyond just
school or
like
something,
listening
or
to
on
it.
your own accord?
That was something that my parents were able to do for me that
Okay,
was
that
super
badass.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they were supportive of that once I was like, oh hey, this is something I kind of want to do. I did also before that play clarinet in elementary
Oh,
school.
my
Yeah, for
clarinet. Yes, dude, I can see it.
oh yeah, dude. Orchestra days. I was a young Squidward. Just like, yeah, I killed it though. Um, but then yeah, no, it was like sixth grade or something, and like I realized I hated clarinet, so I switched to drums or switched to like percussion in the class, and
Okay.
then like started
Okay.
taking like lessons and shit. Um, but still, that's like in like everybody has their own musical, journey. However they get to their love of it is different.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say is like the end of like the first stage maybe of like mine. And then after that, like the next major thing was literally just like on a whim joining like band in high school to play drums when I was like not even good enough to be there. Like I hadn't taken any of the music classes, and then like I had three friends in jazz band all of a sudden,
Okay.
and literally just like right before like the week before school just like switched from like theater to band, um just to like hang out with them, and that was the best choice I ever made, honestly. So sick.
Mm, mm.
um and yeah, I was just the worst of four drummers in a jazz band for like 3 years, and literally like the teacher, like I could tell that he didn't really want me to be there. He was like, this guy's not here. Just like the friends of mine were like also pretty close, or not like close with this teacher, but like they were friends of his, or like they were kids he
Hmm.
liked in the class and
Yeah.
shit. So they had some sway in like just letting me get in.
Correct. Correct. They're like,
They
nah,
were
nah,
like, "Oh
trust
no,
me, let
this
him in.
kid."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so
And
yeah,
what
that
did they
happened,
play?
and
Were they
then
also drummers, your homies primarily, or were they scattered around in different instruments?
one of them was also a drummer, and one of them was a bass player, and then like I definitely knew some horn players too, and like yeah, everybody like in the band, but yeah, the it was like two
Okay.
close friends mainly that were in the
Okay.
class.
No, we're done.
Yeah. But then those same friends, along with like a few others, actually no wait, I knew two bass players in the class. Fuck me, dude. Yeah.
Okay. No, no,
Uh,
no. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, though. Okay. You were connected.
we had like the whole rhythm section, just like it was, yeah.
And so at that
But then
stage where you're aware of that, like, are you doing it more for fun, so to speak? Or like at what point does the,
yes,
hey, I just want to be with the
yes,
homies to like, wait, I'm actually like kind of liking this thing that
right,
we're doing, like, and want
right.
thinking about it on my own. Like, tell me about that expansion.
So that's the next, yeah, like the next stage of it, I would say.
Mm,
And
mm.
that's when those same friends like started to express an interest in like rapping, like trying to rap. And that
Okay.
was all just at the same time to hang out and like crack jokes and shit. Um,
100%.
but it was great. It was the most fun shit ever. So I got more into like the production side of things from that, like just downloaded like a torrent of Ableton, like everybody does, and
Classic.
yeah, and just started there trying to learn it. It was really fucking hard. So I switched to um the Native Instruments like machine software for a while, which was like
Okay.
much more stripped back,
Okay.
easier, a bit more of like GarageBand-esque in its interface. It's like easier to use.
Yeah. Yeah, were
Um
you always a computer guy? Like did using software come easy to you, slash did you like having equipment around, or obviously kind of began, your music introduction uh performance wise like with instruments, but like at what point and at what phase the computer probably being one of the main instruments you use to like find music when you're purely a fan and consumer, but how did the
yeah.
relationship between the technology like continue in these, I guess, this kind of phase two to phase three transition?
Yeah, I was definitely like a big nerd computer wise growing up. Played like video games and shit. Like played Oregon Trail on like my dad's PC. Like
Dude, oh my
yeah.
God, I can't believe that's the first game you just dropped. Oh my God,
I mean that's
yes.
yeah, that's just a reference point for like generations of people. But
Exactly.
yeah, that I played other stuff like fucking Mech Warrior, like I don't know, that's more obscure.
No, I know what I smell what you're stepping in now.
But yeah, no, like computers are always kind of, just there. So you get used to them. You get used to like learning software and shit if you're just around it. Um so but Ableton's a beast. It was really hard to get
That
into.
is that is the total beast.
Yeah, especially when you are like not good at music, you don't like really know how to play any instruments or like make a song.
It'd be like
So
sitting
yeah,
at
it
a
was
pilot board. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was just total baby steps. Just make a lot of really bad music for a long time, then it gets a little better. Then you make a lot of just bad music for a long time, and it's really
Hmm.
not. It doesn't even like it's not an objective scale. Like everybody starts out and they're making sometimes really amazing stuff
Correct.
pretty early on,
Correct.
but they might not recognize it as that themselves. I'm not saying I was
Mhm.
making amazing stuff. Most of my stuff was legitimately trash at this time, but
No. But I
um,
understand what you're saying. Like those are the seeds of the future transformation, whether or not you
yeah,
can necessarily be aware of it at the time.
yeah, and it really is just like as you like let yourself believe you could do it, kind of like you get more comfortable with music and stuff, and like the interest kind of grows with that. It's a little bit of like a feedback loop, and yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely what. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, please, please.
I was just gonna go back to what definitely like got me into it and helped me stick with it was just how much fun it was to do
Mm,
with other people.
mm.
And that's what like very much has kept me doing it for so long is
Yeah.
just how much fucking fun it is. And
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of things you can do as like your life or your career or whatever
Uh-huh.
that basically just consist of like making things with your friends. Like there's not a ton of things like that. So music is like super unique as like a career path in that way.
Mm,
Maybe
mm,
maybe there's other stuff. Just
mm.
making shit with people you enjoy being around
No, being an artist.
is
Yeah.
so
No,
valuable.
totally. That
Yeah.
was you're stepping in this exact direction. We're telepathic. I was gonna ask, I mean, you kind of referenced it a little bit there. Like, talk to me about in this phase, I don't want to say necessarily transition because it maintains simultaneously, but like at what point did you have that just pure doing it for the fun, where then there was some element where part of the fun became like being good at it, or was that always from the start? Like, what was the element of the collaboration competition element? And then two, how and when did you gain a certain confidence or approach, as any artist does, kind of come into their initial fruition, having to pull on some seed of inspiration or confidence building to eventually either pursue that art more rigorously as you have and do and did, as well as have the confidence to share that art in any way, shape, or form. Uh, I'm curious how that
Yeah.
transition built, and then kind of leading that to as we're continuing with the school history. I mean, you making the decision to go pursue uh, an education within this actual field post high school.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, great question. I feel like for me it was just like the little victories you pick up along the way, like whatever scale they're on, even if it's just like figuring out how to do a new thing, like production wise, if that's what you're doing, or maybe for an artist, like hitting like a point where you're just more comfortable with your singing voice or rapping voice or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, like little personal victories like that. And then whenever early on as an artist or like a creator of any kind, like when you get external validation for it, like that, I
Uh-huh.
think keeps most people going. Like that was definitely
Uh-huh.
true for me.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I made something and like I thought it was good and I showed it to someone and they also thought it was good, that was like huge, just
Yes.
motivationally.
Yes.
Um, and those can carry you a long way. But yeah, dude, I don't know. End of like high school, deciding to pursue it more fully was honestly like I didn't even feel like there were other options at that point. Like
Wow.
in a weird way, like I kind of missed the boat on like applying for schools and like the money was a big issue. Like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
financially, I was just like not. I didn't really expect I would be able to pay for it, and my parents weren't able to either at the time.
Yeah.
Um, So I should have applied. Like I'm sure I could have gotten like financial aid and shit, but like I kind of just got demoralized by that a little bit at the time and
For
like didn't
sure.
really set up other options for myself. So then
Yeah.
I was like, well, there is this thing that seems fucking great
Uh-huh.
and I
Uh-huh.
am getting good at it and
Uh-huh.
just so happens there's like a program for it at the local community college and like a little trade school, like literally 4 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
So yeah, so had those lucky like nearby options to get more of an education in it. And then yeah, I just learned like a bunch more about recording and
Hmm. Hmm.
like mixing and like how studio runs. Um yeah, let me drink
No,
some water real quick.
yeah, that's fine. That's wild. I really didn't know that exact
Oh,
context in terms of uh how that decision really kind of unfolded. So that's a just dope to know. And then two, yeah, a reflection of um how much clearer you're doing it as to where it felt like a almost so clear of an option, like it wasn't an option, and also like the surrounding, pressures and the confusion of just being alive at that age and time for anyone, especially in this artistry world, which is kind of part of my question because I feel for the most part we all go through some massive confusion at that stage as to where to exactly go to seek and build and continue creating, while also feeling like we're contributing to a certain long-term model of some stability slash checking off the boxes of as you mentioned, part of the artistry, you do it for others, you do it for the validation, you do it for their appreciation, enjoyment. So simultaneously, even wanting to do that, you always are as an artist, as artists, we're highly sensitive to making the people that we want proud, and depending how our art is seen in their eyes, that can manifest in a variety of different ways. So, I mean, that's super fascinating. It takes me, it doesn't take us fully to our official meeting, but it makes me think of when we first met and at the LOUdhouse, shouts to the spot. Uh, you were actually running live sound for a show that the Goons played at. And so, kind of in reference to that situation and with knowledge of how we've worked on the recording production side, tell me what's the relationship for you currently, or then at that point, what was the desire for you to be within the sphere of music, which is live and performative, and to what desire did you want to seek your knowledge and growth and understanding and mastery within the fields, so to speak, on the production side or the pre-production side or the non-performance side, so to speak. And just again, as someone who did band and initially was with friends and had the little rap group and all those things where like there were elements of the recording, but also like, hey, you're freestyling together, you're performing together, you're doing it for others. How have those branches, grown for you and kind of intermingled now, or how do you look back on those factors playing on each other?
yeah, okay. So it seems like I can kind of break this into two things,
Mm,
and
mm,
one of which being like starting out as someone who's trying to make like a living or as much of a living as they can off of music on
yes.
like the technical side more so than the artistry side. That's one side of that. Then the
Mm-hmm.
other side seems like um we're talking more about like the community around music, doing it for like a larger cause than yourself.
For sure.
Um feeling like you're contributing to something like bigger and like again like that being the line from starting out with like a little rap group in like
Mm-hmm.
your mom's house, whatever. That's a community, right? Like that's something where you gather and like have fun together and do a
Correct.
thing. So for me personally, it was like that left when like my friends went off to school for the most part. We kept like
Mm-hmm.
doing some stuff when they came back for breaks and that kind of shit. Um but yeah, then it was like, okay, well, I gotta move on from this, which was hard for me. I was stuck on it for a long time because it was
For
sick, dude.
sure.
Like we had
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Um,
Oh, you showed me some of the joints. Some of them slapped too. You can't lie.
yeah, they're like so cringe also, but fine. Like
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Part of the brilliance.
um, yeah. Okay, yeah. So to continue with that part of the question, like the community building over time and stuff, like that became more of a thing for me as I was like seeking it out. And I was fortunate to
Okay.
just like have mutual friends that were involved in like a bigger scene, and that's kind of how like I ended up at the LOUdhouse, was just like through
Hmm.
friends that were like gathering there. Um, and they happened to like know a lot of like local poetry artists and that kind of thing. And just like through association, there's a whole music scene
Yeah,
like that I was introduced to.
correct.
That was yeah, that was thriving, like super sick. People doing like hip hop shows and um like open mics and stuff all
Hmm.
over town,
Hmm.
like all the time.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, when we moved into the LOUdhouse, we suddenly had this like amazing space that we could not that we not only got to live in, which was amazing,
Yeah.
um, but we got to share it with that community and like
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
shows there and like have a studio upstairs that we were like that was the best way to get better at it too, was just like
Hmm.
doing it at that level on my own. Like on, that's yeah, that's true
Correct.
for anybody who's trying to like be a recording engineer or like a mixing engineer or whatever. Like you can learn from other people, but you just have to like do it. You just
Hmm.
have to try to do it
Hmm.
and do it for free or for cheap, like starting
Hmm.
out. And
Hmm.
people, if you're good at it, then people come back. And
Yeah,
okay, you mentioned like the live sound in particular was one of the
correct.
first times uh I got a lot of recording clients by doing live sound well, and then the
Mm,
bands coming up to me
mm,
and being
mm,
like, "Hey, that was
exactly
great,"
how it went. Yeah,
and then I'm
exactly.
like, "Yeah, exactly." And then it's like, "Oh yeah, we got a studio over on the west side or whatever. You should come by check it out." Um, and yeah, I think with you and I in particular, it was at a show when I like first met you. I think um, I might have done sound for you and like met you in passing or something, but when like we linked for the first time was at a house show at the LOUdhouse,
Correct.
and Rylan introduced us. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Which shout out to Rylan, Ghost Tower.
Absolutely.
Just like,
Absolutely. No, and he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, dude, like there's a stew upstairs. Like you got to check it out." And I was like, "What? Like, are you kidding me?" Because I think the goons we were playing, and you're like, "Oh yeah, this is the homie," and we just rolled up, and so no, that's funny that the live dynamic of course bringing in to the recording sphere and building that little. But yeah, shouts to Rylan, Ectosonics, Ghost Hour, the
Oh my God,
legendary
dude, he's so
Bitch.
good.
So good.
I hope he's doing well. He's written like a ton of books now too. Like he's been writing books.
He is an aficionado of creation that is far beyond any of our understandings. That is a genius at
Yeah.
his finest. Yeah, we're just glad to know and be able to watch whatever he's doing. Uh, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like it's again so funny, so many different
Also,
directions.
if I could
Please,
add one more thing, sorry,
please,
if I
no,
could add one
please,
more thing on that last point.
definitely.
When you're starting out like trying to make money with music too, like you'll do fucking anything. So like
Mm-hmm.
live sound was not in particular something that like I got a lot of joy out of all of the time. Like sometimes the music is great and you just get to watch an awesome show. That's always good. Um, but it wasn't like a passion. It was just like a means to have some money. Like
Yes,
you'll do that. You'll do like cheap ass recording whenever you can, wherever you can.
correct.
And yeah, yeah. Just take every opportunity you can get. That's like the only way to become a thing.
A reflection
But
of that hustle.
yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Where are we going next?
Oh no, that's perfect, my dude. We're going with the flow, which is you and yourself. I'm also noticing a slight internet connection
Lost you for a
instability.
second. We're
There we
back
go.
now.
Now we're back. So I
All right,
feel
we're back.
I would love to hear you kind of just continue. I think you're stepping in all the right directions. I'm loving hearing this train kind of building this arc here. I mean, so let's go to that point and work forward. You're at the LOUdhouse. You're in this space of artistic diversity as well as empowering and honing your craft for doing what you do, which as you're saying is largely on the engineering side and the hustle side of being a and the blue collar music work hustle of getting that bread where you can and how you can, as well as seeking and finding peoples within the communities that are filling and creating to that other side of the sector that you kind of referred to in the technical and the communal. You know, through then living in that and having some extended time of doing so before future movements, I mean, how do you feel that has impacted your life forever? And in what ways do you look back and go and see certain things of that time which you can never go away from? And then what ways do you see certain things at that time where you're like, I'm never going back there, either like in your behaviors or your practices or your conduct, or the overall way in which the hustle was I don't want to say necessarily oriented, but structured potentially, And if unclear, like, let me rephrase, put a little clearer, like, what aspects of the space and time you were in there have translated long term to where you are now? And what parts do you reflect back? And it's like when, you almost look at yourself in high school or when you're younger and you can see the trail, but you also say, oh my God, I'm so different, so to speak, or that context now provides some insight as to where you are, and where you want to go, so to speak, versus where you were thinking at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a tough question. It's a tough
Yeah.
question because like there's been a lot of things that have happened over that time aside from the music stuff that have changed my like outlook on the world and
Mm-hmm.
my like,
Mm-hmm.
vision of what my life is going to look like
For
have
sure.
changed those dramatically aside from music. But there is obviously so much from doing that I feel like I do still carry like some, skills from or something. Like
For sure.
I wouldn't be who I am having not done that, like
Mm-hmm.
and it was super important for me because like growing up in like Santa Cruz right here, like most of my friends were white, like I had a pretty limited like view of the world. Albeit like my parents were somewhat like progressive, like Democrats and shit. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was exposed to ideas, but like I hadn't really lived in the world. And like that
For
was a
sure.
great way to just like meet a lot of different types of people. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Mm-hmm.
it was hard for me, like definitely hard to like just adapt to like all these new different experiences and
Correct.
everything.
No,
Like you're trying
totally.
to be a professional and like meet a lot of people and like and that's always going to be a challenge. But having done it, it's made that a lot easier. So
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm much more able to just kind of talk to anyone, like introduce myself and like have a conversation with like anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel, yeah, I don't feel like um limited at all,
Yeah.
which I probably did having before this experience.
For
So
sure. For sure. No, definitely. Definitely. No, that's huge, dude. And I did notice from the first point we met, it's to our connection, but it was also, yeah, to the skills of just like, and as we've discussed, the key role of any relationship in the artistry is like just connecting and just being able to be a people
yeah,
person and understand and listen and hold space and feel confident enough to express opinions while also being flexible enough to, again, just be oriented towards doing our best and having the most fun. So I think that's a major and a great insight. And I mean, I'm curious now to ask, like, how would you reflect on our relationship, all the music we've made, all the tracks you've recorded of mine and mixed? And I mean, tell us a little bit about that in terms of your creation side, as well as, where is Tapley Sound now? I mean, from the world music sphere, we're putting out some jams. Shout out to the Spliff Tape, shout out Sound in Color back in the day, shout out to SUSOST, because of course there is much to come there. But I mean, I want to tie it to some full circle in the sense of the present. And I'm curious, update the people, tell us, where are you now? What are you doing? And what are you looking to do with this series of skills and experiences you've acquired, accumulated, and manifested through the years?
Yeah, okay, good question. Shit. So you and I, oh boy, we made some shit together.
Oh boy.
We've made a lot of music together.
Hours.
Some of the most fun sessions. Yeah, we'll just be recording until 4 in the morning on like a Thursday night, like
Dream.
or
dream.
later, like when sun comes up. Which yeah, just so fun and so rewarding. Like just making stuff and putting it out, I think is underrated. And it took me a while to like get comfortable with that because kind of a perfectionist by nature. But yeah, dude, you totally helped me like break some of that like insecurity down, I think. So grateful for you
Word up.
for that.
Mutual.
Yeah, dude. And like I don't know, we've like gone back and forth creatively on a lot of different things. Like I feel like we know each other creatively pretty well at this point. Know like comfort zones, strengths, maybe weaknesses.
Correct. No, 100%.
Yeah, and that's a super sick creative, relationship to be working in. So I
It takes
look forward
time.
to all, yeah, I look forward to whatever's to come and things like the album we're talking about today, that I only worked on in like a technical sense. I have loved from you as well over the years. Like all of your all of your stuff with other producers, other, recording and mixing engineers and stuff. Just really cool to see you grow over the years. And yeah, I feel like you're on kind of at a crux where you can like really define your sound. And I'm stoked for you, man. I think that's sick.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
glad I can be a part of it and of help at times.
Absolutely, dude. You're a tool, a resource, and a collaborator. And yeah, it is like one of those, again, just reflecting on the relationship, one of the coolest ones where we've had just literally some of the most fun experiences of, imagining when I come up to cruise for like a weekend or like 2 days and be like, dude, what are you doing this night? When are you free? And literally recording 5 tracks from 11 p.m. to 4, and it's just like, man, that's amazing. To also, doing it in midday, to having super easy sessions, to having challenging sessions, to like really, as you're noting, like learning the art of the collaboration, not only like on the actual, you're doing some production on the beats and I'm doing my vocals, or even on the side of you're honing in and using your skills of engineering and I'm trying to execute the recording, but just like of, as you say, knowing each other and being able to constantly pull the best out of one another. Like that's something that I really honor and recognize the rarity of, dude, because a lot of relationships either never evolve to that state of honesty and slash or when they do, they dissolve because they realize they can't handle the truth. That's too much. That's uncomfortable. That's not. And to know that I have like your
Which
heart.
I almost blew it a couple
No,
times with that.
man,
Just like
not even
being
close,
too
not even
honest.
close, not even close, dude. On my side, like that's what I'm trying to say. Like it's legit, and so definitely wanted to speak with you. And yeah, it ain't even about the project. We're gonna have infinite and millions of them, but with the whole energy of standing up, standing out, standing together, like me wanting to make a project with as many songs and as many people that I've worked with upon to not only empower self, not only just try to be the glue to tie it all together, but to like empower them and like give them the platform to manifest in this art, to support them individually, to in this case let them speak, and share their mind and react to some very long-winded Cameron questions. So for that, once again, grateful, glad. We've been trying to get this going. We're recording this right now on the 23rd of February. Spliff Tape Volume 5 just dropped. Check that ish. But
Whoop.
these things will probably rolling closer to the drop of the album, scheduled mid of this year. My dude, I want to offer you a moment here for any final words and thoughts, and maybe potentially too just shout outs to beings, places, projects, songs, artists, anything going on that again you would like downloaded in this recording, shared with the world.
Yeah. Well, I guess last words. Thanks for letting me turn this into a therapy session for, 45 minutes. I feel
Music
like
is therapy, bro. That's all we do.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Um, yeah, shit. I don't know. I don't really have much, man. I don't have anything to plug. Like
Yeah,
I'm kind of just doing I'm like back in school now, doing kind of taking a new path. I'm still
yeah.
doing music, but for the joy of it, for the yeah, yeah, for the joy of it. Um, damn. Yeah, no, I kind of don't know what else to say.
That's what's up, my dude. That is the sign of satisfaction and as much of closure as we can get in this world. Once again, we got Ian Tapley Bell, aka Tapley Sound, here on the line. We got Quadroon. Shout out to all the beautiful beings listening to this right now. It is another interview for the hashtag SUSOST. Stand up to stand out, and let's stand together.